So just in case anybody's wondering, I didn't sign my daughters up to do this. They just, whenever they see the red light comes on the camera, they just start dancing. I don't know. Pot stickers. I don't know the history about them, but I know they're delicious. And I also know that the key is in the dough. The dough is three basic, simple ingredients: water, baking soda or salt, and flour, all-purpose flour to be exact. And in China, they will have different grades of flour. I'm not exactly sure like the different combinations, but I know they have to mix two different flours together. And I think here we already get that pre-mixed ratio of all-purpose flour, and so that's what I'm going to use for this. But the key is building up as much gluten in the dough as possible to get a certain amount of elasticity or stretch, and that they survive the pan, because pot stickers is in their name. They actually stick to the pan, and I'll show you how to get around getting the pot stickers off the pan and everything. Alright, so this is a bit of an invested process, and I actually learned, like, I'm gonna say the chemical formula for this from there's a guy on YouTube named his YouTube name is My Name is Andong. Really good guy, really interesting to watch. He kind of reminds me of heck, I can't think of the name of that guy on Food Network. But once upon a time, Food Network had a food science show that I thought was really interesting. And I used to watch stuff like that. And there's a bunch of other guys I used to talk to and watch, and to kind of come up with my way of making this dough. But like I said, it's really invested because you have to knead, let it rest. Knead, let it rest. And the way this works is it's all in 1 hour increments. So you take the dough, you knead it for about 5 minutes, you let it rest for an hour. You come back, you knead for 5 minutes, you let it rest for an hour. You're actually supposed to let this stuff set overnight to build up as much gluten as possible before you use it. And a Japanese guy actually said this is a fermentation process. Trust me, it doesn't taste fermented. It's not going to taste like beer or anything like that. And I think instead of saying fermentation, I think a better word for this would be aging. I mean, I know it's pretty much the same thing, but still. And you're going to see me do it here later on in the video. But like I said, I hope you've been lifting your weights, because you're going to be doing a lot of kneading and waiting. And also another thing in the video, I didn't dump both cups of flour into the bowl. I actually dumped 1.5 cup, and the other half cup is going to come from the actual kneading process. So make sure you measure out 1 cup and then 2 half cups, so that way you get both cups in the end, but it all gets mixed in during the kneading, like I said. Alright, so there is a proper way to kneading dough like this, and I don't know that proper way. So this is the way I do it, and it normally works out for me in the end. I take the dough, spread it slightly, and I fold it into itself, and then press. And repeating this process over and over again actually builds the gluten, or helps build the gluten faster into the dough. You'll notice that it starts to get tight as you go. So once you let it rest, it loosens up and then you can knead it again. So if your dough ball is a little too sticky, go ahead and add extra flour to it. It's okay. You're not baking a cake. You're not baking bread. It's pot stickers. Honestly, it's not really any way you can mess this up unless you don't build enough gluten to the dough. So this is the result of all that kneading and resting and kneading and getting your son to knead and resting. You're able to now pull it. It stretches. It's bouncy when you smack it on the ground. Yeah, I know you've seen me do that a couple of times. I take the dough ball and I smack it against the table, and it kind of springs back up. That's what you want. If you take your dough ball and you smack it on the table and it flattens out, then throw it away and start over, because that stuff is no good. So at this point, I'm going to start sectioning out the dough, and we're going to start flattening out. I actually have a pasta machine. I'm going to use that to do my flattening out because it's easier. If you have a rolling pin, go ahead and use your rolling pin, but you're definitely going to need something to flatten it out because it's still kind of springy. It's just going to spring back because of the gluten. If I have more time to actually let it sit and rest overnight, this will result in the best possible dough, but I don't have that much time. Now, I know what you're saying. Is that gonna cook all the way? And yes, it will. The thing about it is that you want to make sure that you get the dumpling skins thin enough so that it cooks the actual dumpling and the meat simultaneously at the same time. If this was egg rolls, I would normally cook the filling first and then fill them up. But this works a bit differently than egg rolls. You deep frying egg rolls, and so that will result in the egg rolls, the outside frying faster than with the inside. With pot stickers, it works a bit differently because you're actually frying and steaming simultaneously. That actually results in it cooking throughout at the same time, so you don't have to worry about it, and it makes for a nice juicy filling. But I'm going to warn you, and you're going to see later on in this video about the cooking process. The first 10 dumplings or 10 pot stickers are going to cook perfectly and come off the pan perfectly. But after that, they're going to stick to the point to where they're going to start falling apart. So you'll have to start with a fresh pan or clean that pan and keep going. Alright, now I'm using a cast iron skillet for this, and I'm actually going to cover that cast iron skillet with another cast iron skillet. So for the sting, because I don't have a top for this particular skillet. Now for this is an experiment for me, because I always I cook eggs in cast iron and the eggs don't stick to it if you season your pan properly. So I'm thinking maybe the pot stickers won't stick so bad to a cast iron skillet that's been seasoned well versus a stainless steel or copper or aluminum pan, which I do have. I don't have any copper pans. I would like to get some. Anyway, I would not recommend that you do this. I recommend you to use a non-stick pan or a stainless steel or aluminum pan, for the fact that this backfired terribly on me after a while. I don't want to just steam my pot stickers with water. I want to actually add some more flavor to it than what's already added to it. So I decided to take some Better Than Bouillon, which is my favorite brand of chicken broth base, and I mix it in with some water, and every so often I will dump a little bit of that into the pan. For steam, I will only dump about 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time though. Now you may have noticed that my dumplings look more like empanadas or Jamaican meat pies than actual Chinese pot stickers. And that's because I don't know exactly how to make that form. I wish I did. Maybe if I practice more on it, I can actually get that form, but they still taste the same. Still tastes great. Now, the way I got that perfect dome-like half round shape was I took a pizza cutter and I cut off that excess dough that's around it. So there you go. So my wife said a nice Asian inspired salad would go good with this, so she actually made a orange ginger vinaigrette dressing for it, and that's the result. That's what the plate looks like, and it came out really good. And I don't necessarily remember the ingredients for that dressing, and I asked her, and she just kind of did it on the fly, so she don't remember. But I remember, I think it was orange juice. It was mandarin orange juice, olive oil, a little soy sauce, a little rice wine vinegar, lemon juice, and I think she put some red pepper flakes in it. I could be wrong. That might come out to be a terrible combination, but it was really good. I mean, we're gonna have to figure that out, and we're gonna have to post that soon. But this whole thing, it was just delectable.